Hello, this is Zorak. Today I'll be drawing Goku. Dragon Ball is probably one of the first shows that I have seen, at that time when I first saw it, it didn't even cross my mind that it was anime or anything. But the one thing I did understand when I first saw it, I was like 5 or 6. I did understand that it was very different from the way something like Spider-Man was made. And when I was little, I really liked watching Spider-Man too. And alongside, I wanted to watch this show because when I saw it for the first time, it just looked really awesome. And the one scene that I seen was when Goku went Super Saiyan against Frieza, and I just saw this like guy with the spiky hair, all muscly, shooting out beams out of his hand, and I thought that was like so cool. He's using martial arts. He can fly. For me, as like a 5-year-old, that was much cooler than seeing something like uh, Superman or Spider-Man, especially with the animations that they have compared to a lot of American shows that they have the animations. It's so different and so much more effort put into these type of things. So even as a kid, I was already trying. I was getting into it. But back then, my parents were a little more strict with what I'm allowed to watch and not. So most of the time, I wasn't even allowed to watch 90% of anything, like not even like cartoons. But then later, as I got older and like some time passed, around when I was like 7 till up till I was 10, I wasn't really allowed to watch much, but I did have the time to go check out some shows, like One Piece. Later, I started watching it with my brother because he had his own computer and he would watch his shows on there. He'd watch Inuyasha, he watched One Piece, and then they also sometimes left cartoons for me when I'll be left alone and they would be busy or something. My brother would usually leave me alone to watch some cartoons, and another cartoon I really liked to watch was Digimon. Up till I was like 10 years old, I was watching it. It was my favorite thing to watch. But then later around when I turned 11, I got my first phone. My brother gave me his phone that he used to use, and I was able to watch all the shows on it whenever I wanted. So I started off with watching Dragon Ball, the original one where he was a little kid, and it surprisingly was really good and is mostly focused on comedy, unlike a lot of action in Dragon Ball Z and Super, which was still very quite interesting and got me into the show still. And then I started checking out shows like Bleach, One Piece, Fairy Tail, because they were all like the top shows running back then. And my brothers also were the ones that got me introduced to it, and I really liked them. And after I watched those, I looked back at the other shows I watched, like American ones that are Batman, Spider-Man. I started to notice that the animations are very different in how they draw everything. A lot of them are very centered, very simplified and centered for little kids, the way they make them. Of course, they have, now I can also understand that some of them have adult humor, but the majority of the shows are basically centered for kids, and the characters don't really have the same depth as the ones in anime. In anime, they would make it more, they would build the character much more. This is why I slowly stopped watching a lot of other shows. Of course, Batman back then was also my favorite superhero, so I would sometimes watch things about him. But it doesn't mean I didn't watch any superhero things, that I just gave up on them. I just didn't watch the cartoon specifically. I really liked Guardians of the Galaxy. It's a newer movie. I seen it long ago. Well, actually, it was like 3-4 years ago when it came out and I saw it. I don't remember, but it's like the superhero movies are good. It's just the cartoons. They're not at the same standard, I'd say, as anime. These two different ways of anime story, like animation and storytelling, are very differently laid out. One is more has an audience that could be more spread out for different ages, and one is more specifically for kids and introducing children into superheroes, which is a good way to get people into these comics if that's what their goal is. And if kids read the comics or watch the cartoons, they really get into it. I remember also when I was going to school, there wasn't even a lot of kids that, especially in elementary, there wasn't a lot of kids that watched anime. The most they knew is Pokemon, and then still they wouldn't know that it's anime. And some kids, because they would probably, I don't know if they took it from their older siblings, but they would try to act like anime is a bad thing, even though they'd be watching things like Pokemon, or some of them would have seen Dragon Ball, but they wouldn't be aware that what they're watching is from like Japan, and it's anime that it wasn't originally like from here. So I really didn't know many people that watched it and I could discuss the shows with, while the other kids always they watch similar shows, and I wouldn't really know about the shows because I wouldn't be interested in checking out whatever it is. But I did watch like some shows that I thought were really good when I was younger, especially Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'd probably even rewatch it right now if I decide to rewatch it. I would do it, no problem. It was a really good show, at least from my memory. I don't know, maybe my reaction would be a little bit more different now, but I believe I would definitely enjoy it because I rewatched it about 3-4 years ago, and it was still really good, and I enjoyed it. Another show that I really liked watching that was an American show, it was Ben 10. I watched like the original one, and I actually really liked it. It was a really good one. I would say that the best thing that I got out of watching anime when I was since I was a kid is that all the ones I watched were mostly shonen, which is aimed for younger guys, mostly teenagers. So things like Naruto, Dragon Ball, Bleach, all of these, all the characters usually had one type of core characteristic. A lot of them they had this like never give up type of mentality, and which really is a good thing to always watch and like take into yourself, to not give up, to keep trying. And they try to make friends out of characters that were villains to see if they can make it better for them and if they could help out each other later on. For example, in Dragon Ball, Piccolo was an evil character. It was basically one character who got separated into two. In one half is good, the other half is evil, and then the evil part later turned into a good character because of how the main character tried to, how he was positive, and his type of charismatic or happy-go-lucky behavior really changed his point of view on a lot of things, on how he wants, and it really was interesting. And Naruto, I would say, had this type of character developments, especially with like villains turning good, very often. I think it had that the most, or maybe it wouldn't be a villain, it would be just someone that would be getting in the way of the main character that would seem to be the villain, which is really interesting. Alright, now I'm finishing up the drawing, and just doing a bit of the final touches on it and to give it the drawing a better background. If you guys enjoyed watching this, make sure to subscribe, hit notification, a like, and definitely comment, so then I would post more. Bye.